ba bum ba ba. I got you, babe. Ba bum ba ba. I got you, babe. Hey, guess what, everybody? It's Groundhog Day. I'm just kidding. You're not reliving the same day over and over again. It's a new day. I have a sacred shard. I am going to pull that very, very soon. I promise. I'm not going to lie to you again. But first, I want to go over what I want to do today. Actually, honestly, I am doing the same thing that I was doing yesterday. I, things move very slowly in this game, it seems. Yeah, let's do the sacred shard right now. Why wait? We can make a prayer to RNGesus. We still got a Latreon, Blade Master. Hey, you know what? I mean, we could sign in, but my energy's very close to full. I'm just gonna come through here. As you can see, now that I've maxed it out, I've put in this same unit so that I only have to come in once every time the levels up. So this is going to be slow, but it'll get there. Every time I log back in, I'll at least be able to level some food, and this way I don't have to keep swapping out champions I'm actually using, which is very irritating to have to do. So, what do we want to make a prayer to RNGesus for? Because I mean, we could pray for this champion, but the chances are seriously so low. It's basically 4% of 12%, which is a fraction of a percent. The chances of getting that champion are basically non-existent. The chances of getting an epic, on the other hand, are 100%, unless we get something even better. Now, what do we still need on the account? In review, we've got Kale as a nuker, and we've got Sun Wukong as the auxiliary nuker. He's also our strip champion. I I really need to get him fully ascended so I can give him a an accuracy banner, which luckily I actually have. I just need to actually get him fully ascended. That's on the track, so it would be. Oh no, it's not. On the mission track, we need to fully ascend somebody, but again, we got to wait until we do the Void Keep thing, and then we can fully ascend another champion who's 5. That's probably going to wind up being somebody. Maybe it'll wind up being Apothecary. We'll have to get him to 5 stars. But anyway, we've got several speed leads in Apothecary, Diabolist. We got we got Golden Reaper as well recently. So I mean, we have a speed lead in each of 3 teams. If we want to just make 3 teams that go first in new card, we got 3 speed leads. We got 2 nukers really. If we build out Rathalos Blademaster completely, we'll have a third, and we'll even have 1 of each affinity if we do it that way. So we got nukers. We have speed leads. Revivers, we've got Tagore. We've got Jamarsa. These are 2 extremely powerful revivers. Debuffers, we've got War Maiden, and we have Gorlos somewhere. So you know what? I would pray for a debuffer. Somebody who's either bringing an AoE weaken or an AoE decreased defense, or both. Because we basically only have War Maiden, Gorlos, and nobody to fill the third role. So that other party, I mean, we could use buffers too. But RNGesus, oh, I'm not wearing the hat. It's a me, Shardio. RNGesus, please give us something good. It can be merely an epic. If it's got the debuffs that we need, great. If it's got something else I forgot to mention, great. If it could be a Latreon Blade Master, I mean, that would be super cool because we'd have a use for him, but honestly, that's probably not even the thing I'd ask for the most. The thing I'd want the most would be, oh, I don't know, Duchess maybe, or a Pythion. I mean, that'd be so powerful. Let's see what we're getting. Let's see what we're getting. Well, it's an epic. And it's Steel Skull. Steel Skull has some support potential. Heals an ally by 40%, removes all debuffs from the target, and heals them by 40%. Um, so we got a cleanse heal on a single target. Increased defense on all allies. That could be really helpful, particularly on defense-based teams. I mean, we do have some defense-based teams, theoretically. Um, this guy's all right. I'm not complaining. Are we going to build him? I don't know. Honestly, I'm looking at his kit and I'm thinking he's been kind of power crept. Seriously, I'd rather use Hoskarol, who we've already got here. He's got the increased defense for the whole party. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. He doesn't have a heal, but he does have an AoE stun. And he's got stuns everywhere, and he's immune to stun. And his defense aura is a little stronger, but of course in Faction Wars, you're only using him for the faction you got him for, right? So he's Barbarians. The other guy is, what is he, Skinwalkers? So that was the excitement of the day. Kind of disappointing, and I'd apologize for that, but not my fault. Take it up with Lady Luck. She's the one that screwed us. Not really going to pull anything else. I mean, because it's a 2x on Sacreds. That's about it. That's about it for the excitement. This is the way the game works, folks. I mean, sometimes you'll only have one thing to pull, and you'll pull it, and it'll be disappointing, but you'll be like, I already had a plan. We already had champions to build. I'll check in. I'll take it. Of course it's energy. Of course it is. So we can go to the Altar of Souls, and do we have a Kale Soul? No, we got a Galek Soul. I don't know if we're gonna build Galek though. Man, I wish we had a Saker. Saker's another really good one, but we don't have him, of course. So we were working our way through the challenges. This is one of the things. I was kind of hoping this one would be a second Sacred Shard. It's not. I looked it up, and it turns out the next thing after this book is a Void Shard, followed by 2 more epic books. So I really don't care about the artifact track anymore. It really doesn't matter. We'll get epic books sooner or later. We'll get Void Shards sooner or later. It would still be nice to finish this track. And honestly, I'm still chipping away at this one for the simple reason that I can level material anyway. In fact, here's what I'm doing for food these days, or here's what I'm leveling. I'm coming to stage 5 because the attack percent chest piece is next, and I'm running this team. And the reason that I'm running these 3 as food and that I've got them ascended is because I know on the track I'm going to need War Maiden and Eris and Spirit Host and Diabolist. And that's why I'm running this area, because Diabolist actually drops here, and I don't want to use one of the 2 Diabolists I have already, although I could use the second one. All I have to do is take her gear off first, and I would be able to use her for the fusion. But these guys aren't even leveled yet anyway, and we're going to keep an eye out for attack percent on the chest piece when it drops. We're going to keep an eye out for Diabolist if she drops, and we're going to keep an eye on the levels with these 3. So when they fully level, they'll be ready for the Ascension. We're going to hold off on the Ascension until we get to the mission on the track. That's important. I am not sure if I'm remembering this 100%, but if I do recall correctly, you have to do the fusion when it shows up on the track, because this is a perma fusion, so you can do the fusion and have it, and it doesn't matter because it's got to be at least a 4-star. You can do the fusion and have it not count because it simply wasn't up in the mission track. So it has to be active in the mission track. Then you do the fusion, you fuse Justicar, you get your Sacred Shard. We get our Sacred Shard. And then we can move on to the next area of the mission track. So not terribly exciting. I'm getting a lot of 3 stars. I suppose I could increase my chances if I moved all the way up to Brutal. However, if we move up to Brutal, we're basically forcing our way through the Brutal campaign at a very low level. I don't even know how far into Brutal we are now. But Brutal does take a heck of a lot longer. Not Brutal, sorry, Nightmare. Nightmare campaign. We'd be moving up to Nightmare campaign, and Nightmare does take a long time. So we're in Brutal. It's still not attack percent. I'm going to keep forcing this one for the next couple of iterations until we get back to the point where we're recharging. Then I might try another Minotaur run. But basically, we're at the stage on this account where I have enough to do that I don't need to be preoccupied with the missions or challenges because there are obvious ways forward on this account. We have 2 6s at this point. We've got Kale, we've got Sun Wukong. At this point, Kale is the only one that is really capable of soloing this stage. Sun Wukong, I need more books into him before I think he can handle this stage, and honestly, he's still the wrong affinity for this stage. And it's all because of Lord Shazar. When he does this Cruel Fate, we want to have a good chance to resist the bombs, and even if we get hit by the bombs, we don't want a critical hit. And Kale cannot be critically hit because of the affinity difference. So even when he gets hit by the bombs, you cannot ever see a critical hit coming from Lord Shazar, because Lord Shazar is the wrong affinity to hit Kale. And this is why your starter is pretty much the best champion that you could be using here, whichever the 4 you started with. Assuming you didn't start with Kale. Most people do. Most people seem to get the memo that the most optimal champion to begin the game with is Kale. Are you one of the exceptions? If you are, let me know in the comments. I was one of the exceptions because I came into this game knowing nothing, and I just kind of bumbled my way through it the first time. I took Elhain because I read through her kit, and on paper it really does look like she would have been the best champion. But it turned out, and really you get to a certain point in the game, and I'd say it turns out she is the best champion in the end game. It's true that she really is best at that point. The thing that I underestimated was just how difficult it is to get everything you need at this stage in the game. This stage in the game, you need somebody who can use poison debuffs or HP burn debuffs to melt through bosses. You don't need it, but it really, really helps. The other big thing that can really help is enemy max HP damage. So the other really important starting champion is Armiger, which is a champion we do have fully booked out at this point, but he's really only been 4-starred. I don't know when I'm going to be able to prioritize Armiger. I think I'm holding out and hoping I get a Cold Heart, because Cold Heart is definitely better than Armiger, but Armiger will do for when you need enemy max HP damage. So the game gives you what you need. Doesn't always give you what you want, but it does give you what you need. So, how are we doing for masteries? Because I ran a number of them yesterday, but it's going to be a while. For masteries, I'd say it takes about 150 runs of Minotaur 15. This team doesn't seem to lose when it hits Minotaur anymore. So it's just going to be 150 runs of Minotaur per champion that need to get all their masteries. And because I'm running a team of 5 at a time, I'll show you the team I'm running. I've showed it before, but I'm going to treat you like you just dropped in, or maybe you haven't seen every episode. And we're going to go to Minotaur. And this is the team that I'm using for now, because I do know that I want the masteries on all of these champions. So this is the most efficient way I can do it. A number of them are still leveling. Tagore is not. Kale is not. The rest of them are. Xeno, in the middle here, is our lead. She has a speed aura lead of 30, which is fantastic. It just boosts the speed of everybody. We do have to watch out for these faceless guys. They do a crap ton of damage. They can easily kill one or two of our champions, but as long as one of our two revivers stays alive, we're fine. And that's why I'm running this team of 5. I've got Tagore and I've got Jamarsa in the back row. Either one of them can revive the whole party. This is a very fortunate position to be in. Tagore, best possible thing I probably could have pulled. Honestly, there are very few epics I can think of that would have been better to pull than a Tagore. And I don't mean to brag or anything, but I was going on and on about Tagore before we pulled him. That's how good he is. I called it, and then we happened to pull a Tagore, and we got it. Because the game starts you with Shaman, who, I don't want to say she sucks. I mean, she's the bare minimum of what you need. She's got a single target revive on a 5-turn cooldown. There are rares with better revives than that epic has. And we even pulled one of those too. We got Grinner from the Undead faction. He's got a revive on a 4-turn cooldown. So that's like one better, isn't it? But with Tagore, we have a lot of support. He's got that AoE attack you just saw him use. He's got this increased speed for the whole party. And the party's going faster. They're healing more frequently. They're attacking more frequently. You're doing everything more frequently. So that's what you want. Sun Wukong can get himself up. That's why he was the code I recommended. You start with the Monkey King. So, start a new game, you enter code Monkey King for as long as that code lasts. And I hope that's a forever code. Because the game, it is so difficult to start this game. When I first started this game, there was no code for a legendary or an epic that you could just include with it. Actually, I think there might have been a code for an epic that you could include, but I didn't know about it. So I just played the game for a long time without really knowing about the promo codes. And I just slogged away with Elhain. I got to the point where Elhain could solo Minotaur, and I was having her solo Minotaur till she got all her masteries, and then having her 2-man Minotaur with someone else until that other champion got their masteries. My second champion, for the record, was Soulbond Boyer. My third, for the record, was Discount Disney Princess. Why am I blanking on her name? I want to say Miranda. Why am I blanking on her name? Manaya, there it is. Manaya, she basically looks like a Hispanic Snow White. My fourth champion, for the record, was a Reliquary Tender. And that actually meant I had one of each of the 4 affinities. Reliquary Tender, from the High Elf faction, is a pretty good rare reviver and cleanser. Honestly, there's a lot to be said for that particular unit as a reviver. I'd rather have a Tagore. Tagore didn't exist yet at the time, though. And for the record, my 5th was War Maiden. Of course. War Maiden really is a fantastic rare. Don't let anybody tell you different. I'd say she's well worth building wherever you are in the game. Just totally fantastic unit. Although for now, I'm just leaving mine at 3. Because she doesn't need to be any higher. She's got enough accuracy for now. She's got enough speed for now. These are her stats. She goes just ahead of Kale. And that's really all I need for the arena. Here's the arena team. We're going to need to do some arena fights anyway. Yeah, we're at full tokens. We're at full tokens, of course we are. And we're really moving along here. We're almost at gold 1. But we'll come in, we'll try this team. This team looks like I can knock it down. We're getting to the point, though, where a lot of teams are a little too tough. Maybe we focus on him just to make sure he goes down. So, really, I mean, the good thing about this team is it's fast. The bad thing is if it can't be fast, it probably can't win. I could try running a slower team with 2 revivers on it if I want to, but I don't want to be in long drawn out fights. I might do that for the defense team, come to think of it. Right now, this team that you see over there, it's in front of me for me, but it's which way is it? It's over there. for you. Um, it's just the fast team. That's why I run it. That was a close one, but we still got it. So if I refresh this, anything good? Usually at this point with the team we've got, I'm usually confident enough to run against a team that doesn't have a level 60 something that's too tough. Like, look at this. This Ultimate Death Knight, I don't want to deal with that. That's going to be too hard right now. If I can get more accuracy into Sun Wukong, this would be a lot easier because I could just have Sun Wukong use his Wonder Staff to gimp Ultimate Death Knight. But really, I want to find a better way through him. I think you know what I should have asked RNGesus for a bomber. You think maybe that means I would actually got the bomber that I'd want? So we can just motor through these guys. We'll try this team as well. I'm noticing a lot of older accounts here. They've got RTAC. This account presumably also has RTAC and Sun Wukong because it was just around at the time these champions were introduced. Meanwhile, the only free legendary we got is Rathalos, and I haven't even built him yet. I'll get to him. He's on the list. I don't know where he is on the list because I do want to build him, but the thing is, I went ahead and did the ZBM fusion or fragment series of events for a new game. Honestly, I do not recommend doing that. And there's a fusion coming up. Beanie was asking if he should prepare for that fusion, and my answer to him is the answer that I would give to all of you, which is absolutely not. Do not bother with the coming fusion. Not if you're a fresh new account. If you started this year, I mean, it's possible if you started this year and you'd been preparing your entire first month to save up everything to be able to do a fusion, then maybe. But if you haven't been playing that way, and I haven't been playing that way, fusions are pretty crazy. Because here, let's look at the permafusion from the early part of the game. You have Raz and Scarhide, and this is pretty typical of what a fusion looks like. So you have forever to do this one. You basically just need one of each of these epics. You need to promote them to 5 stars, and promoting a 4-star to a 5-star is a pretty big production already. But you need to take a bunch of rares, and you need to prepare. You basically need all of these rares. You need to boost them all to 4 stars, fully ascend all of them. That means basically if you never have any luck and you never pull any of the epics, and look how many of these epics we've pulled ever. 0. We don't even have all of the rares yet. But basically, you have to promote all of these guys to 4. You have to fully level them. You have to fully ascend them. That is a crap ton of food right there. Like this many 4-star 40s. You know how much food that is for your champions at the start of the game? You are far better off taking this level of food production and putting it into making your first 5/6s. Even if the fusion comes out and it turns out this fusion is like the most amazing champion ever that you can't miss, I can't think of an example other than Sun Wukong, and he wasn't a fusion. He was just like a free login champ. But if it's somebody that's as good as Sun Wukong, well, you can start with Sun Wukong, so you've already got that covered. But basically, I can't even think of a situation where you would absolutely have to go for the fusion. There were some impossible to miss fusions in the past. Champions that were seriously so good. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to the index. If I can ever click on the right one. I apologize for that, people. But Skinwalkers, for example, there's so many really good champions in Skinwalkers. I mean, case in point, here's Sun Wukong. He's also in it. But one of the actually, there's several of the fusions in here. So there's the Christmas fusion from last Christmas, the Christmas before the one we just came out of. This guy, you didn't need him, but man, if you got him, he can place bombs on the entire enemy party, and get a free turn so he can immediately go again, reduce the timer on the bombs, and even place this decreased attack. That's just icing on the cake. And this can just instantly win you a fight. You blow through the entire fight with Nishak Verminlord. Another one. I mean, honestly, last year I think every other fusion was a Skinwalker because they also did Loriaka. If you did Loriaka, if you've even heard of Loriaka, you know not all of these are winners. Loriaka is an example of one that is not a winner. She looked like she could be okay. Places block debuffs on all allies. This isn't a cleanse or anything. She's just placing block debuffs. Doesn't really place anything else. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. That's something, I guess. Decrease resistance. You need accuracy to place the decreased resistance, of course. And this is kind of a gimpy A1. So it could turn out that the next fusion is something kind of gimpy like Loriaka anyway, but it could be something completely OP like Mighty Uko. Mighty Uko was one of the best fusions ever. This guy, decrease attack on everybody with his A1. He can strip buffs from everybody, 2 chances to strip buffs, and if he strips them all, he places these 2 debuffs. He has a passive that just gives him a 50% chance to steal an enemy buff anytime they try to buff, and it is crazy how often this will proc. And finally, you have a full revive with block damage and an increased speed that just always works, so that this move can just kind of work if you don't happen to want to revive. So this guy, I mean, I'd say you didn't want to miss this guy if you could fuse him. But like this account, does this account need him? No, this account has Jamarsa, and Jamarsa's guaranteed. And we got lucky, and we got Tagore. Are they as good as Mighty Uko? No. But do you need Mighty Uko? No. And honestly, if you have Mighty Uko, chances are you're building him in a provoke set or a stun set, and you're using him as a nuisance tank. Whereas Tagore, look at the way we got him geared. We've got him geared as a dedicated reviver because I want him to stay alive. I want him to have his own healing. He's already got an AoE heal as well. So he's got his AoE heal. He has his AoE revive. And then he's got all this healing cooked into his gear. And we got Jamarsa built roughly the same way. Jamarsa's not as good at healing the party, but she still has a strong single target heal. She still has the AoE revive. So you may not be lucky and have a Tagore or someone else. There are actually several. It's not like Tagore is the only one that can do it. So there are a number of epics you could watch out for. There might even be one in each faction. Let's go through the factions and see. You have Ursula the Mourner from the Bannerlords faction. She's Void, so she's going to be one of the rarer ones to achieve, but she's got the AoE revive. It even has a strengthen and an increased defense on it. I think she's the only champion in the game, even if you include all of the legendaries, that puts up this much defense on a revived champion. So she's really, really cool. So that's an epic that does it. High Elves. Does High Elves have a reviver? High Elves might actually be the exception. I don't think they have one. But Sacred Order makes up for it by having 2. Actually, there's 3 in the Sacred Order. Because you have, not that she's the strongest one or anything, but you have Mistress of Hymns. You pull her, she's not the greatest champion, but she does have a double revive. So you pull her, still consider yourself reasonably lucky. Cardinal, like her big sister, her stronger, better sister, has an AoE revive. And it revives the whole party, and the whole party gets to go immediately. This is super strong for the arena. Then you got Godseeker Neri. You probably heard me talk about her before, because I think she's seriously one of the best epics in the game. She can revive automatically if somebody goes down. She just automatically revives them. And if you need another revive, she does have an active skill that does it. And when she uses her revive, It resets the cooldowns, which is so neat. I don't think there's anybody else in the game that does that. Barbarians, of course, we've got Jamarsa, and she's free. I mean, free if you can get the referral thing going. From ogres, ogres is a weird one. So from ogres, there is an AoE reviver. It's Ugo, but there's a very specific situation um, where everybody else needs to be dead, and then she puts up this block damage. This is maybe more viable in the arena than it is in regular play, but maybe that's what you want it for. So you can keep an eye out for her. For although really for ogres, the reliable one is actually just a single target reviver in Gear Grinder. He's seriously to date the only real reviver is this dude. I find that kind of odd. Plarium, where's the OP Ogren reviver? I feel like it's missing. For Lizardmen, there's the fusion. This is a perma fusion. If you collect all the uncommons and as well as the two void champions that you get from Tag Team Arena, then you can fuse this guy, and he's got the revive with the block damage. That can be really, really powerful. Because if you can revive champions that cannot be killed for a turn, they're actually going to get back up, and they'll be able to do something before they die. Skinwalkers. Is there an epic reviver in Skinwalkers? There ought to be. Oh yeah, there totally is. You got Hofreeze, the Tusk. He's got his revive, and he places the strengthen. Not quite as good as what Ursula the Mourner does, but you know, you can still get two champions that way. We got Orcs, Tagore. Um, he's not even the only one in Orcs that's better than Shaman. So we got Tagore, we got Shaman, but we've also got Jorg. This dude, Jorg, also has the double revive. So the orcs have it. The orcs have revivers. Then we got demons. For demons, you've got Dur. He's got the double revive. It seems like every faction has somebody that's got the two random revivers. For undead, undead actually has a really good one. In undead, you'll probably see this guy in the arena too, because he's got a decent aura. He's got this increased ally speed in the arena by 23, and he's got revives all dead allies. This is maybe one of the best epics in the game, because again, it's the same thing as the others. He's got that full team revive. He's also got the increased attack for the whole party, so he's kind of like the mini version of uh, Arbiter. Don't know why I'm blanking on so many champions' names today. We can move on to Dark Elves. Dark Elves has a number of them. We've got Caden. Caden has a double revive. We have Fang Cleric somewheres. Does he have a double or a single revive? Okay, he's just got a single revive. But it does have the unkillable. So that's cool. I guess that's all we've got for this faction. Knight's Revenant has at least two that I can think of. Both of them are very powerful. You got Rector Draft. She's got a single target revive. But she's also placing veils all over the party, and she heals passively on all champions that have veils. So really, Rector Draft, one of the most powerful revivers in the game, because even though it's just a single target revive, she's doing so much other work. But there is another one in the faction. It's Malkith, the Feather Brain. It's Malkith the something. What is it? Blood Flock. What an interesting champion. But yeah, he also has the revive. Double revive on him. So arguably even more powerful a reviver than Rector Drath, but not necessarily a more powerful champion. That leaves us, whoops, not there. Dwarves. We got a reviver in dwarves. We have Melga Steel Girdle. And she's even HP based. So you can build her nice and tanky, and she can even hit reasonably hard. She's got a good heal. She's got shielding. She's got the double revive. She's got an HP aura that works everywhere. She's got a really strong base HP too. She's the real deal right here. Um, Shadowkin has Kinagashi, right? Where's Kinagashi? She's somewhere. So here she is. She's got the revive. Revives an ally. She even has an ally attack on. Is it the revive that has the ally attack? No, maybe it's not. Yeah, this is the ally attack. It's not a strong ally attack though. So honestly, like she'd be in the team for the revive. She'd be another one where I'd say you'd want to build her in regen gear and just use her as a dedicated reviver. The mini ally attack can be cool, but that's not really what she's for. And finally, I got Sylvan Watchers. Um, there should be a reviver in here, but it occurs to me if there is, it's actually one I don't have. Is it Wiranon? Yeah, she's got the revive. Yeah, so this lovely lady, she has the revive. So epic reviver, you're likely enough to pull at least one at some point. I guess that's my long-winded way of making that point. I went on and on. We're 36 minutes into the video now. Let's go to the notes and see if there's anything that really needs to happen today. Because as soon as possible, I want to keep doing Minotaur until we get at least to 550 red scrolls on Sun Wukong and Xeno, so that they can have their increased amount of damage to the clan boss. Oh, I want to do a clan boss run. So maybe I'll end this video with the clan boss run. Because aside from that, there's a bunch of farming that needs to get done. But really, that's about it. So tomorrow there's gonna potentially be one sacred, because tomorrow is Void Day. This boosted 2x, I think. Yeah, it says 2 events, but where does it list the second event? I guess I have to click on it. There it is. Okay, so tomorrow there's still going to be a 2x on legendaries. We can try again for legendary tomorrow, or another good epic. We will have a chance at one more if we can completely finish out the mission track, but I think we can do it because we're here. We've made most of the progress. We just got to win the voids from the dungeon mission. And I might even start chipping away at this right after the reset, but before I necessarily make a video. So I may already have it. Then we have Fire Knight. We can handle Fire Knight. Then I have to ascend a champion to 5. I can handle that. Then we got to win Spider. I can handle that. Clan Boss. Handled. And then Fuse Justicar. We're working on it. So probably for fusing Justicar, I mean, if I fully level, we'll go to stage 5. If I fully level these 3, get to the point where they're fully leveled, there's going to be not much for me to do towards the Justicar fusion, except to take Diabolist, the other Diabolist that I have. I'll just take the gear off her. I'll ascend her. She'll be the 4th food piece that I have to do the fusion, and I will fuse Justicar tomorrow and get that Sacred Shard. And then we'll pull the Sacred Shard, and you know it's going to be something good. You know if you have to work extra hard for it, that it's going to be extra good, right? At least I want to believe that. So let's just see this fight through. And then I'm going to go visit the clan boss, and then I think I'm going to call it a day. Because there's really not a lot else to do. There just isn't much to do. People will say the real lull in this game happens at the end of the first month, where there's just kind of, there's not a lot going on in the account. You have to make that difficult hurdle
of going from having one, maybe two six-star units to the point where you have a full team that can accomplish all the things that you want to accomplish in the game. And I think we're kind of at that. Is this a bad place to be? I don't know. It's not as interesting a place to be because we are at the point where we're trying to get teams going that can handle every dungeon. If I just click on this one for a moment, we've pushed to Dragon 17. Dragon 16 is the one that I'd be farming though. And this is pretty much my forever team. I've got like one team that I just say this team is just for dungeons. It's got the two revivers, Tagore, Jamarsa. It's got the two nukers, Kale and Sun Wukong, and Zeno as the boss specialist. And that's why these are probably going to be the first five six-star units. Even though I keep flirting with the idea of bringing only one reviver, because honestly, the revivers can do their job pretty well as fives. They're a little less sturdy, but I can even make them sturdy as fives. My sturdiest champion at the moment is almost certainly Tagore. He's already got 36,000, almost 37,000 hit points. That's pretty good for this stage in the game, given that I've got I mean, I have a fully leveled 5-star set of gauntlets. This is probably where most of his HP is coming from. This is a lot smaller. I'd love to get a stronger chest piece. But I mean, right now, if you just look at what I've got, let's say we go with chest pieces and primaries with HP percent, and finally go with rank. What about a 6? We don't have any 6s yet. 5s, we got a small number of them, like from the curing set. If I wanted to move to a curing set, he does bring enough healing that that might even make sense. But I think really the thing that makes the most sense on any reviver is always regen, if possible. And, if possible, immortal to supplement the regen. So, let's visit Clan Boss. Let's visit the Demon Lord. Let's see what we got. I even attempted Brutal last night. Can I remember offhand what I scored? I scored enough for the bottom chest. So I scored between this. So if I wanted to seriously run Brutal, I'd probably have to run 3 keys. I'd need to be at the point where I can run 3 keys to get the best. And that wasn't even a particularly good drop. But then again, this was the Knight chest. I'd want to go for the Grandmaster chest. The Grandmaster chest drops 3 items from this list, whereas the Knight chest only drops 2. And if it's only dropping 2, your chances of getting the shard are very low. I don't remember offhand what all the odds are, but the tables have been solved online by somebody. There are people out there that have a table list of the rewards. You have a very high chance of getting the gear, which can be good in the early game because you do want lots of gear. But the shards and the books, I think, are the 2 lowest things to roll. So if you're going to randomly roll 3 things, it's almost always going to be not a shard and not a book. And that's why the ultimate goal is for us to push all the way to Ultra Nightmare. This is the ultimate goal in the game because then you get 5. And if you get 5 random things from here, it's going to be probably the gear, probably the brews, probably the gems, and almost certainly the silver. But then you still got one random roll that can either be the book or the shard. And if you're lucky, it can be both. Sometimes it's even a sacred shard and a legendary book. I've seen that happen before. And on my main account, I get 2 chances a day at these. So sometimes I get multiple books, multiple void shards or sacred shards, because I'm getting them from here, I'm getting them from here, I'm getting them from here. Sometimes I'm even getting them from here. But on this account, we're going to have to settle for a lot less. So no shard. And, I mean, the gems are always welcome. But really, the 4-star gear, oh my goodness. We got a void shard. I think this is a first on this account. Normally, we don't even get an ancient shard. Well, that's kind of fun. So let's get in there and fight. We could even fight Brutal first to just see how far we can push. But you know what? I want to show off hard. I think at this point, there's a lot of damage in here. Let's do hard. So the goal for Xeno, this lovely lady right here, is to make her the third 6-star unit. And all the while, we're earning the masters for her and Sun Wukong, so we can get a lot of extra damage out of them. Kale has it, so every time he hits that 60,000 that just popped out, that's the War Master proc. That's where a lot of damage is coming from. Xeno does a lot of damage too. So once she gets, and for her it's going to be Giant Slayer rather than War Master. I make frequent mention of this. If you're ever wondering what tier 6 mastery to give a champion, just ask around. You can join my Discord if you want. You can ask on the Discord, what T6 mastery should I have on a particular champion? And there will be like 5 of us that will immediately jump on you and tell you which one to use. And probably all 5 of us will say the same mastery. But generally, if they do a lot of single target hits, it'll be War Master. If they do a lot of triple hits and quadruple hits like Xeno, it'll be Giant Slayer. And if they happen to have a really, really hard hitting move like Sun Wukong, it'll probably be Helm Smasher. So on this account, it's going to be Kale, War Master, Xeno, Giant Slayer, and Sun Wukong, Helm Smasher. I'm going to have one of each on my first 3 champions. And then I'm going to be running them side by side against Clan Boss, so we can kind of see which of them does the most damage to Clan Boss. My suspicion is Xeno will do the most, because Xeno has some really great advantages. We've also got the Brimstone. I got lucky enough to get a 1-star blessing on her. And if you have a multi-strike champion like Xeno, who's legendary, it's got to be a legendary, this is the perfect move to give that champion, because it has a chance of proccing every time they score a hit. So on 3 hits, she's got 3 chances to drop it. Much better. And boom, there it is. 250,000 damage every single time that procs. So that's why I think, in the end, it's going to turn out Xeno is the best at doing Clan Boss damage. Kale with all those poisons, and his War Master proc, he'll probably be in the middle. But it'll depend. If I can get Sun Wukong's modifiers high enough, if I can get his gear good enough, he might start out-damaging Kale. But, bearing in mind, I'm also probably cranking up Kale's gear too. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect. But I am expecting Xeno to be the boss specialist, not just Clan Boss. She's going to be good at every boss. She's already extremely good at Fire Knight because she's got the multi-strike, so she's got a good way at chewing through the Fire Knight's shield. She's frequently putting up the Leech, which helps heal up the whole party, particularly if the whole party has stuff like War Master or Giant Slayer to suck back health. You can see every time Kale hits, he's getting a huge amount of health back, and that's what you want to see. But yep, that's about it. You're basically looking at what there is to this account these days. We do have access to Hydra. Come to think of it, maybe tomorrow, maybe we'll try Hydra for the first time. I don't have high hopes for Hydra because it is very challenging content. The Hydra's very random, and honestly, you need a good provoker for Hydra, I think. Depends which rotation it is, but the other thing is Hydra has rotations. So we'll look at that tomorrow. We won't worry about that today. But tomorrow, there's even a great rare. I said let's not worry about it, and I immediately go on to a rare. There's a particular rare that we don't even have on this account. He's called Sentinel. If you happen to come across Sentinel, he's another barbarian. I keep going on about how Barbarian is the best faction. In a number of episodes, you probably remember, like, all the Barbarians are the best. It's the dude in the gold armor. His name is Sentinel. If you happen to come across this unit, do not feed him. He is not food. He is seriously one of the best units in the game. He has a very specific function. His A1, if you just examine it, he's got it books up to an 85% chance of placing a provoke on his A1 as long as your attack is a critical. So there's a lot of conditions on the provoke, but you can force those conditions. So if you force him to have 100% crit rate, good accuracy, you could just have him spam his A1, and it'll have an 85, which can be 90 because you can give him the fearsome presence mastery as his T6 mastery, and give him a 90% chance to provoke the one head that cleanses debuffs off the others for Hydra. So I'll go over this tomorrow. Um, I'm not really sure why I'm going over it now because we're fighting the Demon Lord clan boss. But the Demon Lord clan boss, this is what I like about him. It's the simplicity. He basically just does the same three things over and over and over again. He's got this move, attacks all enemies. Got this move, attacks all enemies with a bit of poison. And then he stuns somebody with a single target hit. And it's based on enemy max HP. So there is a kind of a funny little mechanic to pay attention to here. Giving your champions more hit points isn't necessarily helping them because his damage is proportional to their hit points. So the Demon Lord clan boss is one of those champions where defense is actually more important than hit points. It's just food for thought because frequently you're up against bosses that ignore defense, and that's when you want lots of hit points so that your champions can be tanky. This boss is really possibly the only exception, but he's definitely one of the exceptions. It also pays to have a good balance between defense and hit points, because there are diminishing returns once you get to a certain threshold of hit points, once you get to a certain threshold of defense. There's diminishing returns. You're not necessarily getting that much more out of increasing your defense. At that point, you start increasing HP and vice versa. This has been a really good run. I don't think I've ever seen it do this well before when it's not a positive affinity. I would have expected numbers this high against Spirit, but we got 8.5 million. That's pretty darn good. So check it out. Kale has 5 million of that. Xeno has almost 3 million. So her at 6. As a 6-star unit, it's going to be great. It's going to be really great. Just you wait and see. Sun Wukong, I guess, is probably... He's probably not going to be doing that much more damage. Honestly, when I get him the Helm Smasher thing, maybe he'll be able to score about 1 million compared to this, but I think ultimately Sun Wukong is not a clan boss champion. And we'll probably switch him out. Maybe we'll leave in somebody like... maybe Apothecary will replace him. I guess we'll see. There are other champions that I want to build out. I think that's about all I got for you, folks. So, oh, yeah. Right before we go. So this is the champion that I was going on about. Nope. We go to the index, go to Barbarians. This is a champion I would love to get onto the account. Sentinel. With his A1, 60% chance, books to 85. With the mastery, it's 90. You have a critical hit, you get a provoke 90% of the time. And his other hits, decrease attack on everybody and heal reduction. And he's even got like a little bit of healing cooked into his kit. Like this guy's the real deal. This guy's great. So you happen to pull him, keep him. He's a really, really good champion. That said, we'll do Hydra tomorrow. Thanks for stopping by. See you then.